Here we go.
Ah, there
Hi.
he is.
How you doing?
Hey. What was your path into the industry?
So I went to uni, did psychology, but still made films on the side, joined the film club. That I knew was my passion. When I left uni, I decided going to Australia was the best idea. Get a job at a production company in Melbourne, because that was meant to be like the cool place. And when I got there, they were just like, nah, you're on a working holiday visa. We don't have anything. And I just did a coffee shop for a year, basically, which was fun. So it started when I came back to London. I was like, I need to do something. And I just sent out emails to agencies that I liked their work. It was just one agency, responded and said, come meet for a coffee. They also had an in-house production company in the same building. They gave me real Lexus footage to play with. It's the first time I'd ever used professional editing software. And that place took me on and grew into making our own films. That's where I started directing. And that's where our origin story starts. I mean, you joined.
But his psychology degree came into play, and he sort of decided we were doing all the jobs together. And so everyone was a winner.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
But it worked out well.
Question number 2, what would be your dream project?
We're lucky that, although I do a lot in advertising. Sometimes a job comes along that, sort of not a purpose, but a bigger thing behind it. When someone comes to us and goes, we want to do this with our brand, the MND project. A dream project is another one of those, really. Something that can live longer, has an actual impact on people's lives, and there's a great creative behind it. So I think it's good creative, and it's kind of got a big purpose on it as well.
We love projects where we're sort of invited into a family or a community or an area that we'd never wouldn't normally visit. And it's so fun, and so we feel so lucky when we get to do that.
What got you interested in this as a career?
So I came into it through music, basically. I was making a music video for my band at the time, and just thought, I'm really enjoying music, but I can't see millions of people buying my records, or even hundreds. So I thought maybe I should get a job. And I had a few mates working as runners in London. So I ran for a few years, and then I just went through a load of different disciplines. I was an animator for a fair while. I did web design for a bit. I did editing, music producing. So just tried my hand at loads of different things until I found something that I really enjoyed. At the time when I was a runner, directors were I was getting their lunches from 4 different restaurants to assemble one perfect lunch. It was a pretty high status job. And it felt very unobtainable. Turns out it was unobtainable because no one buys my lunches now. But it just seemed how do you make that jump? And then I sort of realised that you can just call yourself a director overnight and you are one.
I know that my dad took me to watch films all the time, and we would always watch films together. And then they bought me a camera just because I was so obsessed with film. But what I did was I just made loads of animations with a whiteboard. And it was a camera you had to plug into the TV. And the VHS, you had to press record to make it. I'd just be record for a second, stop, and then wipe out what I'd drawn. I mean, those tapes still exist somewhere. But I just love this idea you could literally create any world, rather than sort of being confined by the kind of room you're in. But then I did move on to making my friends just be in every film. Make trailers when they came around to my house. This is something I really love. Loving putting music to video and putting a title on something made it feel like a film. But I think it was that really. It was just constantly wanting to record and capture everything and then edit it. Just loved that.
Who have been some of your favourite people to collaborate with?
Part of what we do, because it's a lot of documentary stuff, we get to meet the people out there. Sometimes they're the subjects of the films we're doing, like the film we did in Kenya, the guy who basically was building a ship out of flip-flops that he found on his beach. I see that these guys are our people we collaborate with, right? So I think for me, it's like generally the people we're meeting on these jobs, and the same with this Dell Intel job we just did for I Will Always Be Me. The guys pushing that project, this guy called Stuart Moss at Rolls-Royce, who came up with the whole idea and got these two massive tech giants involved, and Rolls-Royce, to create this new technology for people with motor neuron disease. People like that are people I love working with. They're just like infectious.
The nature of a lot of the jobs we do is they're quite long. We still, with our way of working, you know, small teams, try our best to like stretch the budgets to allow us time with people. And yeah, we build, you know, make friendships and build relationships with people. We try and stay in touch with people. And there's a longer story to be told, especially with Mike's story. He's an amazing guy, amazing character. Without much plan in mind, we just said, shall we carry on?
Do you think that you would do more sort of narrative drama things, or are you just naturally more drawn to uncovering stories and telling them through documentary?
We love things that aren't documentary too, and we certainly have. Like, we did a short film a few years ago that was more narrative, and we kind of approach it in the same way. You know, we work with people who've never seen a camera before, and so when we're working with people who are used to cameras and used to performing, we're like, wow, that was like...
Yeah, and a sort of a blend of documentary and sort of part narrative is something we want to do more of, like, going forward.
Yeah.
I think it's good to be a bit categorised because like how long have we been working together? Maybe
7.
Yeah, 6-7 years. And like we were trying to be everything the first few years. And I definitely think we've done better as we've sort of found what we do best, and when people come to you for the thing that you do.
Yeah.
No, it's fair enough. It's easy for people to understand, and you get to master it, I guess. Carve out a niche.
Yeah.
Nice one. Is there something amazing that you've seen lately that you'd like to share with others?
House Made of Splinters. It's on iPlayer. It's a documentary, and it is set in an orphanage in Ukraine. It's unbelievably beautifully shot, and it's essentially a one-person team. I think the way me and Ben came up, you know, DSLR shooting, doing everything on your own. You know, we learned how to sort of be your own team. Even now, when sometimes you want a bigger team because you have a lot of people to manage and a lot of agency and so on, we still always like push for that kind of small team. It's probably the best documentary I've ever seen, I think.
What do you do to keep sane or unwind?
I listen to rain, thunderstorms, not real ones, you know. On
sound machines. Yeah, I love those.
Yes. My favourite place is like the Lake District. It's not as easy just to get there when you need it. You know, if you could bottle the Lake District into a jar, that would be my chill out.
I love a bit of DIY.
Yeah.
It feels like sorbet for the mind compared to like what we do.
Next question is, do you have a genre you most enjoy working in or would like to turn your hand to?
I'd say we've done quite a lot of heavy subjects recently. I actually, oddly, I really would love to do comedy one day. Like some of our favourite directors are, like, we love Jeff Lowe, Harold Einstein, that kind of humour. I just love it. And, you know, when we're working on some of those jobs that span quite a long period of time in really tricky subjects, those kind of, watching those ads, watching something funny is quite useful.
Yeah.
But I think we'd like to do it.
Which art form or mediums that you don't work in do you find the most inspiring? I
always think that if I hadn't got into this, I would probably have wanted to go into something with buildings or architecture. That's partly it. Maybe my dad, he was in that world, but you get bored of me moaning about buildings all the time.
I enjoy it.
You enjoy it too, but I literally just moan about buildings. I would love to, because I like video games as well. I think creating like a world, you know, in video games would be something I think that would have been amazing. Just building cities and stuff in games.
For me, like, music was sort of, I'm essentially a failed musician. That was my first love, and I still try and sneak in when we have time music into our films.
You do,
and I have to sort of pretend it's not me. Otherwise, I defend it too hard, and it's quite obvious.
Oh, really?
It does mean, like, when we get to the music in our films, we're quite obsessed. I think you spend a lot of nights talking to composers.
Yeah, composers hate us for that one little trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is something someone else has made that you wish you made yourself or that you've been a part of?
But maybe 2 years ago, there was a Macmillan advert It had Max Richter Spring as the soundtrack. It's one of those, in 60 seconds can make you cry and sort of smile. You can do that. I'm jealous.
The Department for Education ad following like a new teacher and a girl growing up through school. That was really nice. It was done by the creators of Will and Elliot, who we've worked with before.
The Macmillan one was called Whatever It Takes. The director was Jonathan Ulrich.
Okay. Well, we won't ask you too many questions. But thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Good
Catch
to
you
see you.
later. Bye.